really think that thing about if you wish to take revenge, dig two graves. I really think that that's so true.
Yeah.
I know that it's really tempting. You see somebody like Vivian Leigh when Harold Pinter left her for Lady Antonia Fraser, and she said very wonderful sort of acid put down. She said, oh, it'll be so handy now that she's moved in with him because they can share the same pair of slippers. And apparently, I believe they both have size 9 or 10, or did have size 9 or 10 feet. I went to a journalism awards ceremony that she was at, and I'm sorry to say that the old boyfriend I took with me actually got on his hands and knees under the table to go to the other end of the room to check out the size of dear Lady Antonia's feet. And he came back and they indeed were a size 10.
Blimey.
Now, Fran, you're joining us from Dublin. I just want to check, are you Irish?
I am indeed.
Good. Now, Fran, do we look at it differently? Because I quite like revenge. I have no difficulty with revenge. Is it in our blood, revenge? Are we like, the fighting Irish? Where do you stand on revenge?
I don't think it's an Irish thing, because I genuinely think Shakira, I think it's brilliant what she's done, and it is very clever and very witty. And if you look online, the support for her isn't coming from Ireland, it's coming worldwide. There's lots of yes, Queen, and people are very supportive of it. It's not like she set fire to his house. She's an artist. She's expressing herself through her art. When Elvis Costello wrote I Hope You're Happy Now back in 1986 about his ex-wife and was very pithy about her new relationship and said, I didn't love you anyway, no one batted an eyelid. But Shakira writes this revenge song and suddenly everybody's up in arms saying, oh, how could she air their dirty linen? But what's interesting is he hasn't come back and said she's wrong. There is a whole history there. If you look it up, she's landed with this whole tax mess that's very complicated, so I won't go into it. But it's because she uplifted her life to live with him. There's a whole thing. They have 2 children. Obviously, she doesn't want her sons to think she's let their dad walk over her, and she's trying to set an example for them. I don't think the song is that bad. I do think it's very clever. She hasn't revealed anything too personal. She's revealing her feelings. It's no different to Emma Thompson giving that interview saying how heartbroken she was and how worthless she felt after Kenneth Branagh's affair. It's just that because it's a song and it's on the radio, it's probably getting more coverage than something like that. But it's much better than some of the action she could have taken.
OK, so Shakira maybe wasn't that bad, but Sally Jones, when we look at people like Dominic Cummings, who seem to be dropping bombs, as they like to describe it, on Boris Johnson every opportunity he got, or now we look at Prince Harry with his book, with his interviews, with his Netflix series, attacking the royal family constantly. It's in vogue, isn't it? And I just wonder, does it actually bring peace and does it make you feel better? I would argue probably not.
Obviously it doesn't. I mean, Harry's there with Meghan singing like a canary. And actually, the people who've taken the moral high ground are William, Kate, King Charles. They've been totally silent. They make him look like an emotionally incontinent jerk, basically, because they've just sat there. He knows that they can't answer back. But the trouble is, the more they're silent, the more he's going to come with ever more ridiculous claims, all this rubbish about, I was only given 2 sausages and William was given 3. I mean, the kind of breathtakingly paltry jealousies and silliness, he just makes himself look stupider and stupider. I can see that the great attraction of making $100 million, or if you're Adele or Shakira, when you're going to make a lot of money out of dishing the dirt on your exes. Obviously, Taylor Swift has done it. And as an artist, I can see the joy of that. But as a civilian, I can remember when I was chucked by a boyfriend, and I just wanted to go and howl in the corner and just sort of pull my head off pretty much. And a mate came round, gave me a big hug and said, oh, he was never much good anyway. You're much too good for him. Just go out with your head held high. So I did not say a word. There was no tears in front of the boyfriend, no recriminations, no writing about it, nothing. And within about a year, his relationship had broken up. And I think the fact that I had not made a big bunny boilerish sort of fuss about it, he came back and wanted to resume relations, which I said no. But
how satisfying. Really, but that's revenge in a way. You got your revenge, but you got your revenge in a different way. I would argue that in the Harry debate, I actually think William and Charles aren't necessarily in a better position. Yes, they're not exacting revenge on Harry, but I imagine they're very unhappy and suffering in all of this.
Yes, which brings me to the point, Fran. My mother had a great phrase, a great Irish phrase, which Sally alluded to there, and that is, they'll lick where it lay. So it's like a cat or a dog. They don't eat their food, but if you take the food away, they'll go to the place where the food was, and they should really have done something about it, but they didn't. So they'll lick where it lay is the phrase. They've both missed out on Isabel and Sally have missed out on this whole joy, this whole word. I think it goes by the term cathartic in revenge. Do you get catharticism from revenge?
Yeah.
Well,
I think there's also that Groucho Marx thing that you wouldn't want to belong to a club that would have you as a member, rather like your lick where it lay. The moment you can't have whatever it is, whether it's the girlfriend or the plate of dog biscuits, you immediately want it instantly.
Yeah. Instantly. Fran?
Well, I wrote a whole play about a breakup. Now, the relationship was abusive, so the play was about how people get sucked into those abusive relationships, because I felt it was important to put that out there. But it actually is quite cathartic, and I'm writing a comedy show at the moment about a breakup as well. And it genuinely is quite cathartic, and the first drafts just kind of pour out of you because, you're just getting it all out of your system. But obviously it's refined, and there is a bit of dramatic license, and you're not using necessarily real names. Unlike Harry, obviously everybody knows who the people involved in that are, even if he changed the names. But it is quite cathartic, and sometimes it's a learning thing for other people as well. I mean, we look at Shakira and we think, well, if she got cheated on, what hope is there for us?
She's beautiful.
But, yeah, and my play, like I said, it was about how people get sucked into abusive relationships, and we did Q&As at the end, telling about things like the red flags and the signs. So it actually proved quite worthwhile, and it has helped other people as well. And they've learned from my experience, hopefully. I mean, obviously, anything can happen to them in the meantime. And hopefully as well, the stand-up show that I'm doing, yes, I mean, there's an element of, it's not revenge, but I want people to know what actually happened. And I do have the receipts, so you can't argue with anything about it. But, also things like that, they are a learning curve for other people, because people recognise things in their own relationships when they hear something like that, even with Prince Harry's memoir. And there are a lot of discrepancies between other things that he said, but people are reading parts of that and recognising things that go on in their own family. We all have, at the end of the day, family disputes. So even though
I really think that
I've got to stop you there, guys. I've got to have a dispute with you guys. We're running out of time as we approach 9 o'clock. But we just want to say, so we may not be in agreement with whether the revenge is good or bad, but I think we're all in agreement that Shakira has done a great job with her form of revenge.